Hello everybody, welcome back. I am Rebecca and thanks for joining me. This is going to be Python tutorial number 3, and again I'm going to use idle, and I'm going to again just use this main window in this interactive mode. And then in this lesson I want to talk about loops. Anything that we want Python to do for us over and over again, we can write the code in a loop. And so Python has basically two types of loops. A while loop, so while something is true, you can have it loop through your code. Or in this case, I'm going to show you a for loop, F-O-R, for. And a for loop is perfect when you know exactly how many times you want to loop. And so that's, they're quick and easy to use. And so that's the one I want to show you in this tutorial, is the for loop. And it's very, very straightforward. In fact, we don't even have to declare a variable or set a variable equal to anything at all to start with. We can just say for x. And so in other words, so for my value of x, I want to do something several times, and then the easiest way to tell it exactly how many times we want to do something is using a function called range. So for x in the range of 5, so 5 times I want to do something, and then we put a colon, and then this is super important. So now is going to be the very first time we've seen an indent in Python. So as you type in something and put a colon, it represents, this line knows that this is a header of some sort, and that what we're going to type in next is going to go with this header. And so Python, these editors, if you're using any kind of Python oriented editor, whenever we hit enter, it's automatically going to indent 4 spaces over for us. And so that's really critical for Python. If you don't indent correctly, then then your syntax, you get syntax errors, and that can be quite difficult to troubleshoot, because sometimes you can't see it easily as you're reading through a lot of code. But anyway, so we are going in and we're going to say for x in this many times, we're going to just print the value of x. And super easy, it will automatically iterate through x for us for 5 times. So we will go ahead and just hit enter. And then and so you can have as many lines of code in the loop that you need. But if we click on enter one more time, it will take us out of the loop. And since we're in the interactive mode, it will go ahead and run our loop for us. And there we go. We got it to print x as it iterated through the loop. And so one other key thing to notice with this range function is it always starts at 0 by default, and it will go to 1 less than the number that we typed in. But you'll notice in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we still got it to do something 5 times, but it's going to print up to 1 less than this number. And so that's just real important to remember that. It seems a bit odd, but if you remember that it always starts at 0 by default, then you'll be fine. Now, the other thing to note about range is you can actually put in multiple parameters. So in other words, whenever we use this range function, if you're using one of these great editors, it will tell you exactly how many parameters we can pass into this range function. So we can get it a start value, a stop value, and a step value. And then obviously the second and third ones were optional, because in this case I only put one thing, and so it if you only do one thing, it's going to stop, so do the range from 0 to whatever value, 1 less than this value, it will stop at. All right, but now we can go in and do it and give it 2 or 3 items. So for instance, if we say, okay, I want you to start at 1 and go up, if we put, just to show you here, if we go to 7, So you might be thinking, oh, this is going to print from 1 to 7, but be careful, because what is it really going to print? Yeah, 1 to 6, because it's always going to go one less than whatever your stop value is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and so that's the most confusing thing about range, but it will stick with you if you're just in your mind every time you type this out, starting value 1 less than this. And then that third option that we have was the increment. So if we say for x in the range, maybe start with 2 and have it go all the way up to 10, and then step by 2, then what do you think this one will do? So we can print x, and again it goes to 2 to 10, 1 less than 10, but it's going to step by intervals of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It can't go all the way to 10. It's got to stop 1 less than 10. And so the value 1 less than 10 stepping by 2 was 8. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Again, just the other thing to note about these loops, here, let me just do another simple one for x in range. Let's do something 5 times. Let's go ahead and just print our x again. And then just to show you that, let's see, let me get it to print a phrase here, still in loop. And then you might be thinking to yourself, oh, now I want to print the end. Well, what's going to happen with this the end here? So I'm still in the loop, and I hit enter one more time to go to get my indent back to the left, but then it runs it. But you'll notice, of course, here we got our print x, still in the loop. Well, I misspelled that, sorry. But you get the idea. We're still in the loop, the end. And then it does that 5 different times for us. What if you wanted the end to print at the very end of the loop? Well, you can't indent it. So by having this indented, that made it a part of the loop. So just be very, very careful with your indents. And in fact, I'm not sure if I can, this will be a great example to take to a script file. So let's go into File, to New File, and we'll put this over here, and then I'll just type this in again real quick. Just bear with me here. So for x in range 5 times, we're going to print the value of x. We're also going to print, hey, I'm still in the loop. Very handy for troubleshooting, by the way. And then if we, again, do print the end, all right, now let's see if it's probably going to make me name the file before I run it. Yes. Okay, to save, we will just save this into our folder. Wherever you keep your stuff is fine. And I'm just going to save this as loops. All right, and so here we just duplicated the exact same scenario. So it's printing the end every single time that iterates through the loop. Well, if we don't want it to do that, all we have to do here is unindent this. So now the level, now you can have spaces in here, or you can have blank lines. The blank lines don't matter, but the indent definitely matters. And so if you had this under indented here in a line, that makes it a part of the loop. But if we bring it back out to this level with the 4, it is now outside the loop. So let's save the file and rerun it. And now we get more of what we wanted to begin with. We want the end to be at the actual end of the loop. All right, so again, just some real basics about the for loop, and then actually this is also a great function to use. So just in general, whenever you have a keyword, notice it did that in purple. Python recognizes that as a special word, and then it's followed by parentheses. Then typically those are going to be functions, and the parentheses is what we're going to pass to the function. So they're parameters that we're passing into the function, and this particular function could take multiple parameters, 1, 2, or 3, depending on how we wanted that range to work. All right, so thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you later.